Hello and welcome to this episode of Crime and Justice Reports. I hope that you are staying safe, washing your hands regularly, putting them off your face, and of course observing social distancing. And we hope that as we all observe these safety precautions to curb this COVID-19, we will all stay safe. My name is Ifoma Okpara. As we all know, lockdown is one of the safety precautions that has been put in place by the federal government to curb the spread of this coronavirus or COVID-19. Now, that's on the brighter side of it. And on the not so bright side of it are reports that this lockdown has brought about increase in domestic violence, domestic abuses, has increased crime generally. And that's why on this episode of the Crime and Justice Report, we're going to be looking at the lockdown and domestic violence and what you can do if you find yourself in this very unfortunate situation. And we're also going to bring you reports on what's been happening during this lockdown. Recently, a picture went viral on social media of a woman with a bloody face, and this bloody face is actually as a result of the beating she received from her husband. Now, the most unfortunate part of this story is the fact that the man not only beat up his wife, but took pictures of this bloody face and then posted them on Facebook and boasted that nothing can actually be done to him. Also, another Facebook user identified as Morenike Awosanya shared a picture showing a bloody eye she got from her man after he returned home very drunk. Also, during this lockdown, a video of two men who engaged in a very serious fight that actually led to their death surfaced online. Report has it that the two married men living in the same compound got into a fight during the lockdown in Anambra State because their wives got into an argument, killing themselves in the process. Also, there's a report in Abia State about a man known as Chinedu who allegedly killed his cousin brother just because of mango during this lockdown. So the list is actually endless, not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world. Take, for instance, in India, there's a report that the Women Commission over there receive about 60 to 80 calls per week on issues bordering on domestic violence, and most time the perpetrators are always the husband. So this led us to the street. We decided to get public opinion and get to know what people think about this lockdown. Does it actually lead to domestic violence? Has it actually increased crime? Has it actually increased domestic abuses? Let's listen to the public reaction on this issue. Hello viewers, so we are on the street to find out what has been happening during this lockdown. Has there been a lot of sexual abuses? Has there been a lot of domestic abuses? Has crime increased generally due to the lockdown? Let's find out. I'm going to find out from you, do you think this lockdown has increased domestic violence?
Yes, in a way it has increased it because things are expensive and government are not doing anything and they are not looking towards that way. Things are very, very expensive. They are saying for the vulnerable, for the vulnerable. Not everybody, though, is vulnerable, but not everybody can still afford it. Things are very, very expensive in the market. Government should at least turn towards that place and do something and help us. At least reduce the price of things. It's very, very expensive.
So how do you think things being expensive, how do you think it leads to violence at home?
My dear, by the time an idle mind is the devil's workshop, by the time you don't have money, many things will be running through your mind and you'll be tempted to do many things. It takes the grace of God if not for God, in short, many of us will do many nasty things, if not for God. Just that because we know God and it's God that has been sustaining us. But I think with God, we will skate through.
Sexual abuses in homes, domestic violence.
In a way, yes. Because at times, these men, at times they go out. Before the lockdown, they go out to work and all that. But now that they are home and, some people can't stand their wives and all that. But I think this is the best time for them to, try to work things out. Because domestic violence is one thing, me, myself, I cannot take. In one way or the other, we've all been through this. Though at times some might have gone through worse, you understand? And some might have gone through things that are not even up to that, but it's on the take with me, I can't take domestic violence. But in the aspect of increasing or reducing it, I think it has increased. It has increased. But me, I advise anybody that has been through it or anyone that is going through it to just walk out of that relationship or whatsoever, because it's only when you have life that there's hope. Before this person hits you in a place that you cannot survive it, you better walk out. It's better to walk out with your two legs than to walk out with one eye. Or
I want to find out if you think the lockdown has increased domestic abuses, maybe sexual abuses, or has increased crime.
Well, I would say definitely it has, because considering the fact that most persons who before now used to be much more meaningfully engaged, these days they are home, and more so wherein there is no enough resources to attend to some of those domestic choices. If there will be some persons who want to behave funny, if for instance as a man in the house you are unable to provide for the needs of your home, there's every tendency that it will not all go well. The man won't be happy, and if the woman chooses to be the difficult type, the troublesome type, the man will want to certainly pay back, and that certainly will result in domestic violence. Then as for the issue of crime, people cannot continue to sit back wherein they don't have anything to eat. So they must want to go out there to fend for themselves, especially those ones that have criminal tendencies. I think if the palliative measures are put in place and adequately distributed to those who are supposed to get this palliative measure, I think that will help. That's my own take on it.
That one go take, because if woman come over house and go market, cannot have abuse. If man with woman they has no, I know how abuse must come out, because you must do something when be seen no go clear for my face. We to see that, but from there maybe hungry, they hungry now. He cannot smile. If the person just say they hungry, they cannot smile with his husband, because why? Because they hungry. Person when the phone and they smart to man will be say abuse not go appear apple for house.
Do you think this lockdown has increased crime generally?
Yeah, in this country, we are trying to survive. I think that they have increased crime in so many ways.
Okay, so what kind of crime do you think this lockdown has, created?
Mainly in this country, we try to survive every day. Most of the people that are living, especially in the Benin, they try to survive by daily pay every day. So you see it's affecting them, like the ones that are at home now. During this lockdown, they go to work every day to make ends meet, but you see that they're at home now, so they can't get anything, as you see. So maybe the one that has that evil intention, evil mind, they'll go to do some other things now.
This lockdown has increased domestic violence, domestic abuses.
Yes, I think to an extent it has, because we observe people complaining, people just come to their house to take things and all that. But I think it's the best, because if we must control this COVID-19, we have to stay at home so that we don't get ourselves infected. So for me, I think government is trying, and we as citizens of the country, we have to be law-abiding, and we should keep to the rules and regulations. So no matter how, we will get out of it. Thank you very much.
So what's your advice for those staying at home to try and mitigate, to avoid this domestic violence and issues?
Okay, my advice for those staying at home, they should please try to stay at home and do the little things they can do inside the house. Some people are even going to online business now. They are just at home through Facebook, they are doing one or two things and that. So please, they should stay at home and keep themselves busy at home. So that's my advice for them.
This lockdown actually In some houses, it has increased domestic violence in some places, or rather, let me use some homes. While in some houses or in some homes, it has decreased domestic violence and even make the family or the couple to understand themselves very well. Why did I say in some homes it has increased domestic violence? You see, there are some couples whom they don't even want to sit together. They don't want to see each other. They don't, so many things. But by them sitting together now, seeing themselves 24/7, 247, making the hates or the grudges for each other to grow more. The fight, for example, maybe if the man was not good enough or was not competent enough, or is not competent enough to provide this daily bread, and now this lockdown has made the man to stay at home again. So I think the man is worse than the way it was before. That means no money is coming forth anymore. So I think it will increase or make the woman or the wife, the woman at home now, to become aggressive, to become angry, and then you see them misunderstanding themselves, quarreling up and down, and then it leads to domestic violence and all that. And then it also leads to abuses, when the man would definitely need a woman and the woman will tell you, what did you give me? Why would you make love to me? And the man will see it as his right. If he see that he cannot take it by chance, he take it by force, and then it leads to sexual abuse.
Welcome back. Wow, so many actually believe that this lockdown has actually increased or led to an increase in some of these vices. Well, if you ask me, I'll also say in a way, yes, it has also increased this domestic violence, because really and truly, like you heard the other woman who said, you don't expect, a man who is unable to fend for his family to be happy. You don't even expect such a woman to be happy. So, and you also heard the other guy who said that an idle mind obviously becomes the devil's workshop. You begin to think of other things that could actually not augur well. But then, like you also heard from a viewer who said, you can engage yourself positively, not just sit down at home and then counting your ceiling or idling away time. You can actually engage in meaningful things during this lockdown. You can learn an online program, learn a course online. You can actually educate yourself. You can improve yourself during this lockdown. That also is a positive way to go, or a step in the right direction, while we all hope that very soon this whole issue will come to an end. Well, you can always let us know what you think by dropping your comments down in the comment section or reaching us on any of our lines. Do you think that this lockdown has actually led to an increase in domestic violence? Do you agree with that? Very argument, or with that very postulation that this lockdown has actually led to an increase in domestic violence? Or do you disagree? People just do what they want to do and blame it on whatever they want to blame it on. Let us know what you think by dropping your comments in the comment section. Now, one thing I have also come to observe is that the rate at which these abuses, this domestic violence are reported, especially on social media or reported to the police, it's relatively lower than the number of cases we actually get to hear that the police charge to court, and then these offenders gets convicted. And why is that so? Why is it so uncommon to see these persons being charged to court? Yes, some of them eventually get charged to court, but why is it not as frequent or as regular as the reports about these abuses? To answer these questions, we spoke to the police public relations officer, Edo State Police Command, DSP Shidi Wabuzo. Let's listen to what he has to say.
For the case of domestic violence, when there's a case like that, incident like that, and the victim decide to report to the police, what we normally do is to continue with the investigation. But at the point of going to court, what we usually see is the case of the complainant or the victim family withdrawing from the police, trying to avoid the police invitations before even going to the court. Then another thing that I think that militates against this issue of the victim and the family coming up with the case of domestic violence is the case of tradition. They so much believe and hold on to their tradition that when we report this matter, the family will ask me why should I do so? Won't my husband have right over me? Don't my husband do this and that? Then they equally think about another factor, stigma. They think about what their next door neighbor may think, the names they will call them, the humiliation they will face when they are among friends, market women, associations, and all that. They think about all this together, and they end up not bringing the matter to the police. The appropriate step to take when such an incident happens is so simple. You simply report your case to the nearby police station, and they do their own preliminary investigation and then transfer to state CID. Proper investigation will be carried out, and at the end of it, the police will charge the matter to court. As we all know that police is not the final arbiter, court is the final arbiter. The police will simply charge the matter to court and allow justice to take its course.
Well, you've heard from the police public relations officer who has revealed that the process of actually investigating and bringing the perpetrators of this act, of this evil act to book, most time is truncated by family members who, for one reason or the other, what will my neighbor say, oh, what my brother say, they just truncate the process of actually carrying out a proper investigation into these offenses and getting to charge the offenders to court and, eventually getting a conviction. Everything becomes difficult by the time the family says, oh, I'm no longer interested, I don't want to go on with this matter. Sometimes they even go to the extent of trying to pay their way through, trying to, find a way to settle with the family of the victim. By the time they have offered some good amount of money, the family of the victim eventually talk the victim out of actually pursuing the case. And before you know it, all you get to know is that such an event occurred, but no investigation, no trials, and that's it. That's the end of the case. Now, to further buttress this point, recently a Nollywood actress known as Gloria Odum has called the attention of the media to a disturbing case of a husband who hacked his wife to death and has allegedly used money to settle the case. According to reports, a settlement deal was initiated after the lady was killed by her abusive husband. According to Gloria Odum, the lady was slaughtered for no reason at all by her husband at Rumuji, Emohu local government area of Rivers State. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Edo State Police Command, while addressing journalists, reassured the public of their continued effort to ensure the safety of every citizen during this lockdown.
Reassuring the people of Edo State that the security agencies of Edo State here in Edo are quite ready and are also reassuring the public of their safety throughout this trying period, especially of enforcing the COVID-19 order, the lockdown order and making sure that at least all citizens remain safe. We have been on the ground for a very long time, enforcing the restriction order, enforcing all the orders that was aimed at making the citizens safe and limiting the spread of this dreaded disease. So going forward, you see a more resolute coordination, more robust outing to make sure that at least all the directives and orders from the state government to the federal government orders are strictly followed.
Welcome back. So you've heard it all, viewers. Please don't keep quiet. Let us know what is happening in your neighborhood. Let us know what has been going on during this lockdown. Ensure to report any case of domestic abuse, of domestic violence or crime in your neighborhood to the nearest police station. They are there for you. They are there. They are willing to carry out proper investigations. And please do not be intimidated. Do not allow people to pay you off just to get your silence. So please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're coming by for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll always bring you more interesting episodes on this Crime and Justice Report. Thanks for staying with us. See you next time.